Politics anywhere in the world is the same. Glamour, glitter, promises, showmanship, showboating, working on people's emotion, using socialization. It is the same. All the features are the same, irrespective of where you go. Politics and political governance herald the same system, the same trend, the same landscape, the same structure, the same everything. And I want to speak to you today about something that I don't think a lot of persons are thinking about. Listen, my title: Run Andrew Run, the PNP are come. Let me go again. Run Andrew Run, the PNP are come. You know how you recognize that a political party is doing well? When children begins to speak about a particular individual, then you'll know what is going on in the homes. And a number of persons are not thinking about that. Let's assume that politics is not actually spoken of in the classrooms to the children. Then the only other place it would be spoken of would be in the homes. It does not church, so it would have to be in the homes. And I think that's a fair assessment to make. What I've been observing of late is a number of the children are somewhat concerned about Andrew. And they are speaking of him. And that says to me, listen, Andrew is making inroads into the political culture of our people, despite what a number of persons may think that the Jamaica is a PNP place. If that obtains and that is true, then it means that Andrew is metamorphosing that into a balanced system, political system, and one that has his favorability higher than that of the people in the People's National Party. We are on the final stretch to the 2025 elections, general election, that is. And a number of persons are not seeing that the PNP is behind the eighth ball. The PNP does not seem to have that vigor. Its leader seems to be somewhat lethargic, out of tune with the reality, and for some unknown reason, is not galvanizing and motivating Jamaicans. Let me repeat that. He's not galvanizing people and he's not motivating Jamaicans. And those are some of the key features why he's behind the eighth ball. But a number of persons will actually argue with me, and I agree with you, that winning of election is not only one person. It's a slew of individuals, many persons coming together to do things. But are you aware that the leader will also germinate interest in the candidates? And when that happens, that party normally wins the election. And go back into Jamaica's history, and then you sort of see that. When Michael Manley was popular, his leaders were popular. When he sort of fainted, then he lost the election. When Edward Siaga was popular, he won the election. When he fainted and when he did some things that waned how people actually view him, he lost the election. That has always been the case in Jamaica. I don't think it's going to ever change. And that means we need to now look at the broad landscape of politics. And it's clear, based on what is actually going on in the road and what I'm actually picking up in terms of doing my canvas, is that a number of people are saying, let Andrew stay, let him remain, even though they are PNP. A matter of fact, a number of persons who are PNP to whom I have actually spoken have said, listen, I don't think I'm going to be voting. Do you know what that translates into? They are supporting the policies and the program of the Jamaica Labour Party, and they don't want to vote because they would have to vote against Mr. Holness. Sorry, Dr. Holness. So what they're going to do is not vote. And if they don't vote, Andrew will get a third term, to which I'm saying, run Andrew, run, the PNP are come. So whatever machine that the PNP had once, that machinery has been broken. That machinery is now in both political parties' hands. And I want to point out something to you. Initially, the machine that the PNP would use going back to its inception were two fundamental things. One, scholars, and two, charismatic leaders. If you look at most of the time when the PNP has actually won elections, those were the fundamental features that they had winning those elections. Go back and look at the history, and you sort of see. Some person will say, okay, then Mr. Patterson was not charismatic. Really? Shouting on a platform is not only charisma. Let me say that again. Shouting on a platform is not only the measurement of charismatic. And I think Mr. Patterson showed using the three terms that he won that clearly he had something that many of the other person didn't have. And that has to be charisma, ladies and gentlemen, despite what you want to believe. So what we're looking at now, and what we are seeing is that the JLP now has a slew of persons who are lawyers, university professors in their ranks. Initially, that was not the case. The PNP had those individuals. That is not the case anymore. The PNP seems to be behind in terms of the academics, the middle class, and even the rich, the affluent, the bourgeoisie in their corner. The GLP has those over them now. That wasn't the case. So knowing fully well that the GLP has that tenant that the PNP normally would use and win the election, and now that the GLP has managed to wrestle that away from the PNP is in turmoil. Because whatever strategies that they're going to use, the GLP masterminds who are the university, lecturers, professors, nurses, doctors, lawyers, now have those in the GLP. Despite that, with Andrew doing all that he has been doing in terms of the road network and other things, and people are seeing what he is actually doing, and that is actually making changes to their lives generally, it's going to be difficult for the PNP to host them, knowing fully well that our politics is people support the winner. And people don't, and when I say people, I'm talking about the business class and the voters. The voters would not vote for someone who they think is going to lose. And the economic class will not actually spend the money on a candidate that they think is going to lose. They're going to assess the landscape. And what is happening, despite what people may want you to think, the Jamaica Labour Party is ahead of the People's National Party in terms of its campaign machinery, what it's actually doing. And fundamentally, if you observe what is actually happening, the PNP is using Andrew, the GLP is actually putting forward Andrew as the face. And Andrew is now the charismatic person, not like Michael Manley, not like Eddie Siago, but within today's context of what charisma is. Andrew is the charismatic person, not Mark Golding. Jamaicans love charismatic individuals as their leaders. So I am saying run Andrew run, meaning Andrew currently has the edge over the People's National Party. All he needs to do is to maintain that to win the election, which is what I'm saying, run Andrew run, the PNP are come. But I want to let you understand clearly, one day in politics is like a million years. We need to understand clearly, it may take a day for the JLP to destroy themselves and therefore the PNP ease into contention and become victors. So therefore, when one is actually analyzing the election, not as simple as, okay, then because of what is actually happening now, it means that the JLP would win the election. And I'm saying to you, no. If things remain as they are, without any unforeseen things happening, the JLP is likely to win. But there are many things that are likely to occur and let the JLP lose the election. And one, if there's a scandal. Two, if there are some massive price increases, including direct taxes or indirect taxes. Three, overseas influence puts the governing party under pressure. Those are some things that will actually cripple the JLP. But let's say, for example, those things do not occur. All Andrew has to do is run Andrew run. The PNP will come and he'll win the election. But as I said before, it's complex. Because I think the margin between the PNP and the JLP right now, as we speak, is small, minute, minuscule. And therefore, a simple error or a simple mishap could cost Andrew the election. A simple mishap could cost Andrew the election. A number of persons are actually thinking about it in terms of the holistic perspective that I'm actually giving you. On your screen is a video that I'm not going to play. I'm going to ask you to listen to the video. And when you listen to the video, you'll realize that Andrew has been building his legacy in a charismatic way. When he used the idea about the Clarks, look at Andrew now and look at Andrew then, and then you'll realize that he has been building a legacy. And he is crippling the PNP's hold on many of the campaign strategies that the PNP once had. Those strategies are now honed, mastered by the JLP, particularly Andrew, and they are using those against the PNP. So right now, all Andrew needs to do is to continue running and assuming nothing untoward happen, nothing strange happen, no corruption things happen, no scandal occur, there's no massive price increases, there's not an external market would actually create problem, such as the US dollar giving a substantial rise and therefore seeing a massive rise in prices or a substantial increase in inflation or substantial increase in employment. If those things are managed, all Andrew has to do is to run Andrew on, because the PNP is coming and they'll win the election. So this one is going to be a rather interesting election, unlike many others before in Jamaica's history. This one's going to be, the winner is going to be based on what is practiced and whether there are any scandals, any external forces, any untoward behavior, any mishap from the governing party. And of course, it also goes for the People's National Party. The election is going to be won based on that, because Andrew is seen as not likable. When people begin to like you, they'll support you. And if they support you, it means they're going to vote for you. Another thing that we need to also look at is look at how the children are receptive to Andrew Holness compared to being unresponsive somewhat to Mark Golding. Those are indicators that the favorability is there for Andrew. Like, share, and subscribe to my channel as I continue to provide trusted information for you to use to make decisions.